It's Friday night, folks. It's earlier here than it is back home in my home state of Kentucky, where I have not lived for 31 years. And yet I look back on it and I think about it and I think about the people I grew up with and I have such a ball just thinking about how lucky I've been. I don't know nearly as many people here as I knew growing up in Kentucky, as I still know. I have this Facebook thing, and the vast majority of my friends, I think, are really kind of from back home. They're not all from like Kentucky, but they all kind of based their friendships back home. I've got a few good friends here. California has been really good to me, and I don't want to go away. I don't want to leave it. And now I'm kind of thinking I might have stayed too long at the circus. So I'm kind of trapped here. That's kind of what happens. You know, man, living in Los Angeles, where it's great if you're young and if you're rich. I'm neither, so anyway. But California is good to me. I like it. Now, it's Friday night here in Hollywood, and I was just going to play this song for you because I've been playing it really pretty all day. I come in here when I'm painting, and I'm stressed out, and today, instead of coming in here and banging something out, I came in here and just started tinkering with Mr. Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Lady, which is one of the most enchanting songs I've ever heard in my life. It was, the first time I heard it, it was almost spiritual. It was just so, it was very ethereal. It was like, how do you even make a melody like that is like ethereal? It's like really like just a little wisp of it was like just a slight fragrance of honeysuckle or something. I don't know. It affected me like, oh, I've got to get into that. And the thing was, the first time I heard it was on TV when I was a kid, right? And back then, if you heard something on TV, it's gone. But I do remember that it was, what was one of those, horrible ABC magician star wolf things, battle of the show people how to do magic. Anyway, it was a very young Brooke Shields, and the big magician of the day was doing something, and this song accompanied it, and it was just a gorgeous, gorgeous orchestration of it. And I didn't know the words for 100 years. I probably didn't know the words till about 30 years ago to it. And it doesn't, I just love the melody of it most. So I'm going to play it. And then if I feel good when I'm through, I'm going to tell you one or two of my really dark, deep family secrets that I don't give a shit about anymore. Because they're not deep, dark secrets to me, and everybody in them's dead, and it doesn't matter anymore. And I don't just go around talking bad about other people. I like to talk bad about my own people. So here you go on Friday night. First, here is Sophisticated Lady by old Uncle Sammy Bean in Hollywood, California. Okay, so real quick, because I got to get in before 10 minutes. So I'm going to tell you this. Okay, let me see. Which one was the first one I was going to tell you? Okay, so in the early 1940s, my great-grandfather was an old man in Bloomfield, Kentucky, where I grew up, and he was a very well-respected man who kind of looked like me right here. Right? He had been the postmaster. He had done this and that. He had been called the chief, chief cook and bottle washer of my hometown by old Doc Merrifield in his 1906 stories, his memoirs. Anyway, the thing was, in 1940 or so, he was a widower, and he worked for old Dr. Plock, who was the pharmacist in our town. They called pharmacists doctors back then. Very beloved. Well, Dr. Plock had a whiskey store. It was down by the White Inn, tacked onto the side of the White Inn, and Papa Oldham, Mac, he ran that for Dr. Plock. But most people just thought it was his liquor store. They just thought it was Mac Oldham's liquor store. But it was Dr. Plock's. But anyway, so, and at this time, my daddy was about 9 years old. And I'm just going to say this. So, at that time, in the year of 1940, and then I think a few years after that too, he was still doing it. He had an affair with a local prostitute whose husband was her pimp, who arranged these meetings with her and my grandfather, and my great-grandfather in Bloomfield. And then he sired 2 children by her, 2 males, whom she, and from what I gather, she had other children by other men in town because she was a prostitute, so she was having sex with men her husband set her up with, and there was nothing wrong with that. You know, it was the 40s. People didn't have a lot of money, and they had a lot of kids. And you know, when I was told this story by someone who was so sympathetic to her, but her poor husband was an alcoholic, they made it seem like she was forced into it. But you know what? When she had babies now this is what I was told by someone on her side from her family, she had these babies from these prominent men in town, one being my great-grandfather, and then she would name them somehow for the people, for the person, for the father. So I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like poor little Becky Sue had to do this. That sounds like, look what I did. I done had your baby, and guess what? I'm going to name it after you. And then I'm going to keep coming up there, knocking on your door. Eventually, I'll send my child that I had with you up there with a note saying, Mama needs a little cash. That's what went on. Okay, that's what went on. And I don't, you know what, whatever. I'm not vilifying anybody in that situation, but I am telling you this. It's kind of funny to me that at the age of 63, I still have 2 half great uncles, or we call them great uncles at home. They're probably grand uncles. My grandmother died in 1970, and her last sibling died in like 1977, I think. They have 2 living half brothers. Isn't that wild? It just kills me. And I'll tell you this, because these are my small town people, and I'm not going into it, and I'm not naming names. I'm really not. My family knew this before some dimwit came to me to tell me this big secret of how it all happened, and he had like a completely skewed version of it from a member of the family of the prostitute herself, who said, "Oh, poor thing, she couldn't help it," and in their version, she was somehow forced into prostitution by my grandmother. Only in Bloomfield, folks. Because my grandmother had 5 children at home in 1945, and she was a single mother going out and actually having her boys shoot possums and things to eat. She was not going out forcing little stupid housewives who were married to drunks into prostituting themselves to get by. I don't get it. But anyway, I'm 10 minutes in, so I'm going to have to let that go. I've got another big juicy one for you about the same people. Now, the next story I'm going to tell you about my grandma does not shine a real good light on her. In the end, it doesn't. But I'm going to tell you that too, because this is about dark, dirty secrets, family secrets. And I'm going to tell mine, and I'm going to tell any others that I know, as long as someone hasn't said. As long as I don't name a name, and as long as someone didn't say, please don't tell this, because I will never, I have several secrets in my heart that dear friends of mine told me through the years. I want each of my friends who told me one of their deepest dark secrets that I never, ever shared those with anybody. I remember them because sadly I have a really steel trap kind of memory for shit like that. I wish I could forget stuff. But the thing is, I will never, ever, ever share them with anybody, and they aren't that big a deal to me. I love you very much. I hope y'all have a really good weekend. I'm not reading a text. I was just trying to get my eyes to see. I've been on here for 11 minutes, but I'm going to let you go. You know what? You could cut it off right at the end of the song, or you don't have to watch it all. I'm sorry. Bye.